Welcome to Films and Stuff with your hosts, Pete Mitchell and Ethan Hunt.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Films and Stuff. I'm Ethan, very enthusiastic today, joined as always by the MVP, most valuable Pete. Take it away, Pete. How are you?
I am great, Ethan. How are you?
Good. I think we missed a week of our weekly stream or skip episodes, right?
That's right. We did because
we had travel plans.
We were traveling together, so we were unable to record live, unfortunately, but we'll make up for it this week.
We'll make up for it this week. So the stream or skip segment, as always, I introduce it. Pete jumps in and takes 15 to 20 seconds to explain the rules for new listeners or listeners who have forgotten. Pete, tell us what Stream or Skip is all about.
All right. So Ethan and I have prepared lists of TV shows for each other to watch. Every week, we randomly assign each other one of those shows. We watch at least 2 episodes or 30 minutes if it's a feature-length program. And on that basis, we determine if that show is worthy of being streamed or skipped.
And to put it into context, generally speaking, the first third of the year, we both had a lot of duds, a lot of skips. The middle third of the year, you were mostly mooches, or I went between skips and mooches. And then the last third of the year, I know there's 4 quarters in a year, but we're not done with the year yet. I think both of us had a lot of must subscribes. So we were in a pretty good place, although, ready for the spoiler alert? This week may not be as up to standard as we had been experiencing in prior weeks. But we were both on Netflix.
Why don't you go start it off?
I had Nobody Wants This, starring Kristen Bell. I guess she's known for Veronica Mars. She's known for The Good Place. I mean, pretty well known. And alongside of her in this rom-com is Adam Brody, who I kind of assumed was the son or nephew of Adrian Brody. Turns out, not the case. I should say the premise is that Kristen Bell, she is a podcaster. She is agnostic, meaning she doesn't believe in any god or any religion. And her podcast is mostly about dating, sex life, stuff like that. You could think of this as the modern Carrie Bradshaw from Sex and the City in that way, right? Carrie Bradshaw at the time was a writer. She had the sex column. This is updated a little bit. We have a podcaster.
Sure.
She is introduced at a dinner party at her neighbor's house to Adam Brody's character, and he is a rabbi. So already we're showing the dichotomy between she doesn't believe in God, and obviously he's a deep man of faith, but he's a pretty young and hip rabbi. So I guess he's got kind of like a more modern take and spin on stuff. And he is, I might get this wrong. He is either engaged and ending the engagement, or the engagement has recently ended. And he and Kristen Bell's character hit it off. And in the first 2 episodes, you kind of see, the makings of a very typical rom-com relationship, right? There's a spark, but there's, an obstacle, which is religion and personality in this case. There's some chemistry, will they, won't they, blah-de-blah-de-blah. And how I say blah-de-blah-de-blah is really why I think I've given this a skip, spoiler alert, to my rating. Because, to be honest, we've seen this a lot. And I guess there's no... Seeing it as it's Netflix, and Netflix needs to cut to the chase fast, you kind of know where this is going. And I just felt like this was I just wanted to kind of put it on fast forward. You can kind of hit the double arrows and it can go 2 times the speed, 4 times the speed, 18 times the speed, right? I just kind of felt like let's get to the point. Like this isn't a particularly creative plot line. Neither of the characters have been developed enough that we really get to know like Kristen Bell's character. I mean, how did she become a podcaster? Did she lose her job? Is she a journalism student? I mean, we just don't see enough, I think, exposition about these characters to really care about them and to feel anything about like their relationship. Like it's a show that jumps immediately into the relationship. Compare this to, for example, Suits, which obviously has a very important, romantic relationship between Mike Ross and whatever Melinda Markle's character is, right? Compare this to Suits, right? Ross and Rachel. Oh, it is Rachel and Suits as well. I feel like those shows intertwine the romantic relationship a little bit more into the storyline, and they focus more on the story, and then the romantic relationship kind of generates itself a little bit more organically, can we say? Whereas this is just straight up, they show a scene of her. She's this very non-religious, kind of blunt, to the point sex podcaster. Okay, we get her point, right? Cut away, show him. He's giving, a sermon in a temple. Clearly a man of faith, right? Show the dinner party. I mean, you just know where it's going. It was just kind of like anticlimactic, no edge of your seat kind of stuff. There was quirkiness in all the characters, which is supposed to provide the humor. It wasn't necessarily the witty writing that was providing the humor. So I would say all in all on Netflix, kind of what you expect for a Netflix rom-com. Some big names, something that's going to, I think just the headline may attract some people, right? I mean, it's got something a little bit kind of provocative or interesting. But in terms of being a show worth your time, I am sorry to say this is a skip. Nobody wants this. The title kind of says it. It is a skip.
Nobody wants this, parentheses, especially.
Including Ethan. I gave it a 1. It's a skip. There's really not a lot to say about it. If you're really, really struggling to find something on Netflix, I'd look at some of our prior, recommendations. Much better options, in fact. Pete, that's me. Going to you. We're staying on Netflix. Another show.
We are staying on Netflix, and I watched a show called Fool Me Once, also a new show on Netflix. It's shown as supposed to be like a mystery / drama / thriller. And it opens with a funeral, which is okay, a little intriguing. And effectively what we find out is that you have this married woman who was like this military operative who I guess quit the military after she got married to this guy, has a kid, and this guy is killed. Yeah. And he's killed under what looks like the pretense of how he was killed was like a quote unquote simple like robbery gone wrong.
Yeah.
Where it starts to potentially get interesting is that you see that all of a sudden this very sane, very rational, very capable military woman starts seeing her husband everywhere. So like it looks like she's having like a mental breakdown, or maybe she thinks she's having a mental breakdown. So she's at the football game with her niece and she sees a man who looks like her husband walking by. She's checking out the video of her nanny cam and it looks like her husband is there. So just little things like this.
Yeah.
And obviously it can't be him, or at least it shouldn't be him, because we opened the episode with the funeral. And then we start getting into this schlocky murder mystery style thing, because we find out that this woman, even though she's in England, has like this crazy military arsenal in her house, which, okay, fine. And she gives her gun to the police, to the detective, I guess, to test. And we find out that, oh, by the way, we also learned that her sister was also killed recently. That's right. Her brother-in-law is going through a tough time, and the stereotypical, the guy's a bit of a drunk, he's kind of losing control over his life, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then we find out that the gun that she had was used to murder her sister, which
Yeah.
is okay. That's the twist. I don't know. I couldn't stop wanting to skip this show.
Oh boy.
Like, it was just not fun. It didn't seem good. The acting seemed awful. It seemed not awful. It seemed immature. Like the set
I thought it
designs.
was, I mean, I'm going to jump in because I saw it as well.
Yeah,
So I'll
yeah.
support you on that. It seemed very stiff, right?
Yeah, amateurish at best.
Yeah.
And it didn't seem fun. It seemed like there were a lot of cliches. The detective who's getting married, but who has maybe cold feet and is relapsing. And, the detective who's trying to be buddy buddy, but he's also kind of a jerk. I could not get into the show for whatever reason. And like you, I was just desperate to get my 2 episodes over with. I was not in the least bit interested in figuring
Yeah.
out what was going on.
I agree with you. I mean, we both gave it a skip. I felt the same way as you. As I felt that there was a lot of stuff, like almost too much stuff mashed up in here, right?
Yeah.
So you've got like the military backgrounds, or maybe I felt like there were so many like subplots, right? So you've got like the military backgrounds, and there's some reference to maybe she was like discharged for like a bad reason. And then you've got, his family, where even though he was in the military, he came from kind of like the very stereotypical big English estate, right? Where
Yeah.
everyone has kind of like the Range Rover and that big like gravel circle thing in front of the big, like house where they play, like cricket or something in the backyard. It was, the family is like kind of wealthy and secretive. And the whole thing just seemed like so many kind of like cliches all mashed up at the same time. And then I had the sense that they were really shoving this mystery down my throat. Like, recall how it started is that like she was watching the nanny cam, and her husband, who she thought was dead, was just like sitting in the house, like no big deal, like playing with her daughter caught on the nanny cam, right?
Yeah.
And it was like, so like, if there's a mystery to be had, I guess what we're trying to find out is, tell me if I'm wrong, somehow he's faked his death, right? That's somehow the big reveal at the end.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
He's supposed to have faked his death. But like all people, or like some people who fake their death, not all, he can't stay away from his daughter. So somehow he sneaks into the house, plays with his daughter. I mean, talk about like totally fucking her up. Plays with his daughter, sneaks out, unbeknownst to him. Ha ha ha. She just happened to be gifted a nanny cam the day before, right? How convenient. She happens to watch the nanny cam. He's caught on film, sneaking into the house, playing with the daughter, and leaves. It was like, could you shove this plot down my throat anymore?
Yeah.
We know where this is going, right? It's not like she, was like cleaning out his stuff and found something and like was tracing leads, and it's kind of like a detective thing. And I mean, it was just like so in your face. Like, he's obviously alive, right? He was caught on camera. He's obviously alive. She'll go through the mystery. Everyone will think she's crazy, and she'll eventually solve it, that it's a big government conspiracy, and he either needed to fake his death to protect the family, or some government big hush-hush program. I mean, it's just also
Oh, and we
trite.
forgot that, we find out that her sister might have been having an affair or had some kind of secret contact because she had a hidden phone.
Yeah. And you're right. And her sister worked for the same big company that her
Right.
husband's family owned. And
Absolutely.
it was just all so, I guess I love a good mystery, and I know you like a good mystery, but I felt like this is just like so shoved down my throat. Like, I get it. You don't have, like, there's no secrets in the show. Like, I know exactly where this is going now, right? There's a big government conspiracy. Her sister was murdered. Husband had to fake his death, to protect the family, and he's going to justify it. And then they're going to team up, Mr. and Mrs. Smith style, and kill everybody. And blah de blah de blah.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
end.
And it's kind of like, the problem isn't that it's predictable. The problem isn't that at all, because a couple weeks ago I had to see that show on Apple TV, Dark Matter,
Oh yeah,
where he gets, his
yeah,
identity, not his identity, his alternate dimension self
yeah,
replaces him in his current reality.
yeah,
Also predictable. But that was a mooch because that was the crux of the entire show.
yeah,
Whereas here, it's like 4 or 5 different cliched, stereotypical plot lines mashed into one, where each one of those is predictable. If they had just stuck to one of those, like it was
yeah.
a military conspiracy, or he's a part of a shadowy government organization, or he was having a secret affair with his sister-in-law,
Yeah.
or the sister was inadvertently working for a criminal organization and she was eliminated for that reason.
Right.
All of those things individually might have been fine, but because it was everything into one. Oh, and then you had the mother-in-law who was totally nonchalant about the fact that that her son just died.
Yeah.
It's like all these like cliches upon cliches upon cliches, and you're just like, okay, well, they're setting this up so that everyone looks like they're suspected.
That's right.
Everyone looks like there could be a red herring, and you're just like, okay, well, if everyone could be anything, then what's the point of it?
Yeah. Let me ask you, Pete. I mean, there's a lot of shows like this, right? Where the person fakes their death, or maybe the person doesn't fake their death, but the surviving spouse kind of like tracks down the mystery, right?
Yeah.
Have we ever seen it from the other perspective? Like, we don't focus on the surviving spouse so much, but we focus on the spouse that has disappeared or, like fake their death. Have you ever seen like what this guy's doing on a day-to-day basis? Like, where is he sleeping? What is he eating? How is he getting around? Does he have a new phone? Does he have any contact with people? That seems to be honest, the more interesting part, which is, how is this guy sneaking around if everyone thinks he's dead, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Like, let's show me plotting and faking my death.
Yeah.
Show me, meandering through this town that my wife also lives in and trying to avoid detection.
Yeah. Like, is he just wearing like a baseball cap and like going through life? Like, is he going out to eat? Like, I think that's the more interesting show, is like, what is this guy doing? What is he trying to achieve in the past few weeks or a few months, like on a day-to-day basis, right? Is
Yeah,
he
that
like,
he has to do this.
yeah, I think that's actually the more interesting show. And you can show him like peeking behind the bushes, and they show like his grieving wife, and he's like so sad, but he's like, well, I had to do this to clear my name, to protect the family or something, right?
Yeah.
And it follows that's, I think, the more interesting show. So we both gave it a skip.
Yeah, it was awful.
Yikes. Can we turn to more promising things and point out that season 2 of The Diplomat has dropped on Netflix?
It has. I haven't even seen it yet. Unfortunately, only 6 episodes this season.
Oh, really? So short? How many was in season 1?
I think it was the full 8 or 10. But in any case,
a full 8.
Yeah,
someday we'll be saying a full 6.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's give The Diplomat credit. Season 1 dropped April 2023. Season 2 dropped November, right? 2024. That's not a bad turnaround, right?
No, not at all.
I mean, really bravo to them to turn it around so quickly. That's really, I'm happy about it.
Yeah.
I like that show. I will watch it. It's hard to, or maybe we should try. What is the reason why we like that show so much and we think that Fool Me Once, which is not totally dissimilar, why do we like The Diplomat and hate Fool Me Once so much?
For one, we don't normally see shows about diplomats, right? I mean, usually if you're seeing a government show, it's about, the CIA, or it's about the White House, or, the parliament, or someone like people who have more political capital and more political
You're right.
power.
Very good point. Yep.
2, Carrie
Russell.
Russell, awesome.
Felicity. Yeah.
3, Rufus Sewell. I don't know how
Yeah.
you say his name. Also
Yeah.
awesome. Just the
Yeah.
casting was very good. Some
Yeah.
things were not plausible about the first season, like how the British diplomat was having potential feelings for the American diplomat. Like it just didn't
Yeah.
make sense.
Yeah. Unnecessary.
But there was that mystery element of the British versus, I guess it was the Iranians. I can't remember.
I mean,
Right, and
I agree with what you said, which is it's interesting that there's a show centered on an ambassador, which is not usually front and center.
yeah,
And I agree that both characters, Kate Weiler and Hal, they're very, very believable, and they have very distinct personalities that just come up to the edge of being a little bit over the top. Like I thought that they started a little bit heavy with Carrie Russell in season 1, where we get it. She doesn't like to wear dresses. She doesn't like formal things, right? Like she's just tie her hair up in a bun, roll up my sleeves. I want to get out to, the African, site and, start doing some diplomatic work, right? Like
yeah,
I felt that was very close to being a little bit over the top, whereas Hal is very much a put on a tuxedo, life of the party, so good at schmoozing everybody, right? Like the smooth career diplomat. So I thought it started a little heavy with those characterizations. They've walked them back a little bit, and now you see like, or at least kind of like in the promos for season 2, Carrie Russell is wearing a dress and heels, like she's still not glam, which I think is more realistic for who she is, right? Like, okay, you're going to dress like an ambassador, like dress properly. But yes, we're not going to, make you look like, you've just walked out of a hair salon and everything is perfect. Like you're still a little bit casual, informal, and that's not your natural state. But I think that they've done a better job of kind of getting her to fall into a more realistic character pattern for an ambassador. But I'm looking forward to season 2. I mean, season 1 ended obviously with a bang with the literal car bomb. I'm looking forward to season 2, and I think that's a very, very good show that Netflix has on its hand, and they clearly tried to rush season 2 out, like not in a bad way, but in a way to like make everyone like, hey, remember you saw this, like, keep their attention. So
yeah, absolutely.
I'm excited about that. Then the other thing we have to talk about on Netflix is the Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul boxing match.
Is it Jake Paul, Logan Paul? Which of the two brothers is it?
I think it's Jake Paul, but I have to say,
I don't know. Both are
don't
douches, so it doesn't matter.
So I guess you're cheering for Tyson. But this is groundbreaking for a few reasons. One, it's on Netflix. 2, it's live, and it's free. Like if you subscribe to Netflix, you get to watch it right away.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's going to be kind of a big deal.
Pay-per-view, I guess.
Yeah. It's happening in Dallas, Texas, in the stadium where the Dallas Cowboys play. So it's going to be a very big event. I mean, the names are big, right? I mean, Mike Tyson, even though my God, dude, you're not going to believe this. He's 58 years old.
Good God.
Isn't that like elder abuse? Like he's almost
that's the thing is like these guys talk about how one of these Logan brothers is like or Paul brother, whatever, Jake or Logan, whatever the guy's name is, right?
Yeah.
They talk about how he's like supposed to be like the serious boxer, but like he's fought like a YouTuber, he's fought like retired boxers, he's fought like a retired basketball guy.
Yeah.
Like these aren't, this is a celebrity boxing match. This isn't a legitimate fight.
I think it's actually a mix between the two. I think it is celebrity in the sense that people are tuning in only for their names. I mean, Tyson for a 58-year-old, I mean, definitely he looks fantastic.
Yeah.
But man, 58 is way different from even being 38 as a boxer. You're a very old boxer.
Yeah.
I mean, it's dramatic difference in age. I would like to watch it. I mean, I'm never a guy who watches, my God, I haven't watched a boxing. I think only once in my life have I watched a boxing. I think in university, I watched a Mike Tyson, Evander Holyfield
I was about to
match.
say, I think the last time I watched a live boxing match probably was
Yeah.
with Mike Tyson
Yeah.
towards the end of his
Yeah.
prime. This was
Yeah.
already not a prime Mike Tyson back then. And I'm not
Yeah.
saying that, by the way, a non-prime Mike Tyson is still probably one of the best fighters out there.
Yeah.
But, like, this is like Michael Jordan with the Wizards.
Yeah.
This is not Michael
Yeah.
Jordan with the Bulls, right? This
Yeah.
is not
Yeah.
Shaq with the Lakers or with the Magic.
Oh man, I love those analogies when you like see all these like sports guys on the last team in like a totally foreign uniform. You're like, oh my God, that's
Like,
right. That
why?
happened.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's right. That happened. I think I want to watch it. I'm not going to say I'm going to put it on my diary, but to be honest, if I remember it next week, I will watch it because I'm definitely, they've got my curiosity, and definitely the idea that it's free on Netflix is a no-brainer. If it was pay-per-view, even if it was 99 cents, I'm very doubtful that I would watch it. But the idea that it's free on Netflix, I will probably watch it. I'll tell you what I'm afraid of though. Like if it says it starts at 8, it's like all the undercards at 8, right?
Yeah, exactly. So it's probably the main event is probably not until 10.
Yeah. And I'm always afraid, like, first of all, I'm not like a boxing MMA fan. So like, honestly, I'm not going to watch any of those other matches.
Yeah.
But I'm always afraid that like, you don't know how long any of those matches are going to go, right?
Yeah.
It's not like some of them could go 10 rounds. Some of them could go like end in the first round with a knockout, right?
Yeah.
So to be honest, the undercards could go very, 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 very fast. And then Tyson starts right away. I don't really want to be checking in like every 15 minutes to see if I've missed it, right? But I guess how those things go is that they have the undercards and like everyone just kind of like knows generally what time the main event is going to start, and they just kind of like start filing in like a little bit before. They want to be seen. There's like, some VIP bar or something, and they hang out a little bit, and then like they kind of have a sense of when the entrance is going to start and everything, right? Not for me. If you had to go to a big sporting event though, what would you choose?
Ice hockey.
You'd choose like a Stanley Cup final.
Yeah, so I know that comes out of left field. I am not a hockey fan. Like you will never catch me watching an ice hockey game on TV. But of all the live sporting events I've gone to, ice hockey was by and far the most exciting. It was 60 minutes. It was 3 periods of nonstop action. It's not like American football, which is like out of 60 minutes of gameplay, maybe like 10 minutes of action.
Yeah.
It's not like basketball, which is, it's not that it's not fast. It is quite fast, but you're still limited by the fact that you're running on legs, right?
Yeah.
I get the feeling that there's a lot more downtime in basketball, but when it comes to ice hockey, man, like I have never seen more nonstop action. And in terms of fandoms, I gotta say, it's a close one between football, like, soccer, and ice hockey in terms of like the crowd going nuts. Because I've been to a Champions League final in Lisbon, and I went and saw just a standard run-of-the-mill, not even a playoff scenario, Philadelphia Flyers game. And the crowd was equally nuts for a standard game. It wasn't even, a playoff game.
I think that's a very good hypothetical. If you're really going to watch a championship, whether it's like Wimbledon or it's going to be, World Cup or Champions League or, any of the kind of North American sports, I agree that if you're at like the deciding game of a hockey game, the intensity is probably the highest throughout the game. You're right about basketball, because basketball is that game that I feel like everyone kind of goes through the motions for 3 quarters, and it's just kind of like, okay, like close game, close game, close game. And then it's like the last kind of few minutes that it really matters.
Yeah.
Whereas hockey, I agree, is like the intensity is just like constantly high. Did you see that guy who got hit in I think he played for the Buffalo Sabres, who got hit in the neck by a hockey puck and they had to take him out by stretcher?
Oh, no, I did not see that, but that's
he
crazy.
got, like, the guy was trying to clear it. He got hit in the neck. And like, I guess these guys are like on autopilot for a while because he kept like skating and playing. And then like, it's like, you know, there's like a delayed reaction when you like hurt yourself. And then he realized like, oh shit, like I'm injured.
My trachea is out. Yeah.
Yeah. And then he went down. But like everyone like was watching. It's like, wow, he got hit. And they're like, well, he seems to be okay. And they're like, no, he's not.
No, he's really not. Yeah.
Anyway, getting back to Netflix, definitely I'm going to watch Diplomat Season 2. I'm going to try to watch the Tyson-Paul fight, which is on the 16th. But the other things that we had today on Netflix or this week on Streamer Skip were pretty miserable. Looking ahead, what do we have for next week? And do you think we can turn this ship around?
Well, I have high hopes for you because you are going to Apple TV.
Oh.
And you're watching a show called Midnight Family.
Okay.
I am staying on Netflix and I'm watching a show called From.
Ooh.
Midnight Family, I think, is about a medical student whose family also runs like an emergency ambulance service. I don't know. I have no idea, but like it looked good. The trailers look good.
Oh, season 2 of Silo.
Season 2 of Silo starts very soon.
When?
I think this weekend, actually.
Oh.
The final season, part 2 of season 5 of Yellowstone, kicks off this Sunday.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Tulsa King season 2 finale this Sunday.
Oh man, are you watching Tulsa King season 2?
I am.
I saw the first one and I haven't seen anything since. Is it good?
I'm enjoying it. I think I preferred the first one to the second one.
Okay.
But I'm still enjoying it. We've got Gladiator 2, by the way.
Oh, when's Gladiator 2 coming out?
Next Friday, so we're going to have to watch that.
Oh, yeah. Okay, that's exciting. Pete, before we sign off, can you give our YouTube and social media creds and all that jazz?
Absolutely. Tweet at us at Happiness Podcast. DM us on Instagram at Films and Stuff Podcast. But as always, the best thing you can do, like this video, hit the subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and leave a comment below.
Could not have said it better myself. Listeners, thank you for tuning in to the Stream or Skip episode of Films and Stuff. Pete, thank you as always for bringing your passion and energy. We will see you all next week on the Films and Stuff podcast.
Thanks, Ethan. Thanks, everyone.
Bye now.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Films and Stuff. If you haven't already, please subscribe and review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever podcasts are downloaded. Films and Stuff. There is no substitute.